Alrighty. Hello. So, AI. Gotta do the YouTuber video intro thing. So, AI. Yeah, no. So the thing is that like I don't know if I'm just the kind of the crazy one for feeling this way, but like whenever I use these tools, it kind of feels like there's like these thoughts being put into my head that just like aren't really mine. It reminds me a lot of whenever I was in like a really abusive relationship, and like, you know, he would live in my head. He would live in my head, and it would be like, you know, that voice there where it's like, oh, that's the abuser, and then you kind of meld yourself to sort of think that way. And I feel like a lot of people, whenever they talk about like AI and stuff, they don't necessarily think about the fact that it's like there's a lot of forms of abuse where it takes the form of agreeing to every single thing that you think. Like there are numerous cults that do this. That's just the main example off the top of my head, but it's a pretty solid example. Over agreement can be abuse. Parenting is another good example where, you know, you're not supposed to say yes to every single thing that your kids want, because then they'll just turn out to be fucking monsters. So like, it's just, I don't really know how to put it. It's having been in an abusive relationship, I've gotten really good at recognizing whenever like there's something that's been put in my head that was not put there by myself. You know, it's the same example of like like nowadays I have a whole lot more man-isms as a tranny than I used to, because I lived around my ex, and he had a lot of broha friends. He had a lot of broha friends who it rubbed off on me. It rubbed off on me because, you know, I had to be nice to his friends. You know, because that's how I kept my life together. And so I have a lot of these sort of male-isms now where, you know, I speak loudly. I'm more assertive than necessarily that I like. I interrupt. I do all these things. And I know those aren't me because I know myself well enough to know that I didn't used to act that way. I know that that's something that's been put in me by someone else. So whenever I use these tools, and like I find myself thinking like, oh, well, you know, the sort of like LLM isms, you know what I'm talking about whenever I say an LLM. You fucking know what an LLM-ism is. It's not blank, it's blank. That sort of thing. Like it fills me with a really deep sense of dread for the future, where it's like all the kids use AI. We all know all the kids use AI. They, you know, 80 something percent of children nowadays use AI in their studies, and it's putting things in their head. It is putting things in their head that is not theirs, And like I don't I you know like MK Ultra was a thing. There have been multiple there's been very long-term experimentation into mind control of humans. And I personally believe that AI is a further refinement of that sphere where it's like, you know, it's implementing these ideas in these young children, and they're going to grow up and they are not going to have that sort of reference point where they can actually like go back to and be like, hold up a minute, that's not me thinking that, that's the machine saying that, that's not me, because they don't have a fully formed sort of self yet. They don't have a fully formed self. They don't have a self that they can actually reference back onto. God. It's just such a can of worms. Don't use these tools. Don't use these tools, and if you can, if you are able to, build a walled garden of your internet that excludes AI and social media. Just flat out. You can make exceptions for like certain forums and stuff like that where it's like, if you get something useful out of it. If you get something useful out of it, don't go banning Wikipedia or something like that is what I'm trying to say. Don't go banning like mega threads and stuff that actually have stuff that you might actually fucking use. But like these infinite scroll sites are just made to suck up so much of you, and like it goes on forever. It goes on forever. What's the fucking point of engaging? Like, we've made all of these stupid things real, and like, my point is that like the whole mind control thing is the reason why like they're investing so fucking much in AI, is because they're not hoping to get you hooked onto it. They're hoping to get the next generation hooked onto it. And they don't even necessarily need to get them hooked onto it so much as they do need to get it into the machine's sphere of thinking while they're still developing, so that way it sets them down that path for life. Because even if the machines themselves inevitably stop working someday, that's still going to leave a footprint on people. That is still going to leave an imprint, the stamp and the imprint. It's still gonna leave that. It's still gonna fucking leave that. And like, it is a machine that does not care what it is agreeing with so much as what it doesn't agree with. And so that's why you get all of these cases of like AI psychosis and stuff like that, where people just like, lose their fucking minds from just having this yes man at their call and beckon, where, every single delusion can just be verified until, forever. And just, it's just fucking disgusting. It's fucking disgusting is what it is. And I have so many things that I want to say about this, and I don't have the words to say it. This is probably the part where I should write a script, but I usually just sit down in front of a camera and rant, so maybe in the future you'll get a more refined version of it, but just Skynet 1. Skynet 1, we lost to fucking ChatGPT. We lost to a fucking internet scraper. I mean, no, we lost to Twitter. We lost to Twitter whenever fucking Trump won. It goes back earlier than that. And you could argue that we lost to the telephone or the telegraph or whatever else. Just the point is that we lost. It's over, pack it in, boys. We're fried, we're cooked, we're chopped. Hold on to your friends, hold on to your loved ones, all that other good stuff. Don't use any of these things. Don't touch any of them with a 10-foot pole. Just any time that you're thinking about using one of those things, just imagine grabbing a big handful of like cricket burgers and then just like shoving that right into your mouth, because that's basically what you're doing. You're eating the bugs, you're living in the pod. That's what you're doing. You know, oh, what is it? I'm monosocial. No. That's like I'm still social. I'm not alone. No, I'm monosocial. It just means that I talk to this thing that just reflects every single thing that I do back at me. You know what I mean? I hate therapy speak so fucking much for enabling this shit. But yeah, the future is a dystopian nightmare of people living in pods and just like skipping the part where they go on social media and pretend that they're not talking to a bot and then just talking directly to the bot. That's what the future looks like. I hope you guys are all ready for the ride.